Hello everyone, welcome to Dark Fey Tarot. You are joining me on the end of a bitter, grey, cold day in Brussels. Welcome to new subscribers, welcome back to those who already know me. You are also joining me on the end of 2024. So Happy New Year everyone, because you will be watching me probably on New Year's Day, that's when I'm going to be uploading. Welcome to new subscribers, welcome back to those who already know me. So yes, I am going to be doing this tag. Thank you so much for Chanel Days for doing this tag again. I did enjoy doing it last year, so I thought might as well sneak it in this year. And well, at the end of 2024. And yeah, I just thought, yeah, let's just do this. Let's get to it and share some of the decks that I have here on my desk. That's such a tongue twister. Decks on desks. Yeah. I'm also going to be doing some other videos about the decks I used in 2024. So you're going to just have to wait for that. But this is a little bit of kind of like a sampling and just a discussion that I'm going through to answer the questions. So again, great tag. Thank you so much for doing it. And I will just get right into it. Okay. So the deck you used most this year. So that's actually quite a contender because there's a few decks that I used quite a bit this year. So first of all, a deck that I used completely throughout most of my year, and it was on my desk quite a bit, is my mini Thoth. This is a AGM 1989 print, I think it is. And it's in German because I bought this years ago. I can't remember when, and this I managed to get for something like €6 off Amazon at the time. So I picked it up. It's a little mini, and the keywords are in German and AGM printing, and I love it. It sits on my desk quite often, and I use it quite a lot too. So yeah, I've just kept it as it is. I haven't edged it or anything. The cards are starting to get a little bit worn. And I'm okay with that, you know, it is what it is. I love this deck and I love working with Thoth. It is actually, you know, a system. I love working on with the Kabbalah basically. And also, as you know, I do a lot of astrology. So this deck I come back to quite a bit. And yeah, it's a deck that I've used quite a lot. Another deck that I actually was surprised that I've made so much use of again and again. I think it just shows value for money when we have a deck that we use often. Just give me a moment. Let me just put this back in. And that is also, let me grab it. Yeah, so another one that I used quite a bit this year was the Wild Unknown Pockets Archetypes. So I bought this when it came out because I had the large one. And as you all know, I did a whole study with that deck where I actually allocated, because these are 78 cards, I actually allocated them to the 78 keys. And I did that whole project at the end of last year. And I loved this deck so much that I bought the pocket version. And again, it's been on my desk quite a bit. I love using it with many of my decks, my tarot decks. It really is just a great oracle, great for archetypes, great just for more food for thought when you've done a spread. I really recommend this to anybody who's exploring oracles. I think it's well worth it. I have to say that with the pocket edition, the guidebook is tiny, so I think that it's worth getting the large deck because the guidebook is so good. But I use the large one so much and I liked it so much that it's worth me having the mini as well. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, it felt for me like value for money for having both. And I've truly used it quite a bit and I still love my large version as well. So yeah, that's quite a big contender. Is there anything else I can put in there? I can say, to be fair, and I want to point this out, is a deck that just, you know, keeps on giving, two decks actually. And these are more kind of like everyday oracles that I have. So you have to go, because all the decks are sitting actually right behind where I'm filming, is Oracle of the Seven Energies by Colette Baron Reid. Again, I think I personally really like her oracles, but this one, I just use it a lot. Oh, wait, what have I done here? Yeah, I just use this deck a lot. Like, as in, it goes really well with a lot of my contemporary decks with like that photoshopping, to be quite, yeah, that Jenna Della Grottaglia has done the images for this. and they just go so well with a lot of other decks that I have, that I pull this one out. I really like the images. I like the guidebook. I just like the messages. I like the way it's structured. Yeah, so this deck for me, sometimes just a great, like, handy deck to have. And again, it goes well with a lot of, decks that I have. For example, it goes very well with Tarot Grand Lux, which I used again last year with. So that one, and also a deck that I use quite often. Hold on a second, I just want to make sure. I'm trying to put this back, and I know I've somehow made a mess with the cards as they go back in the box. You know when that happens, then you nearly kind of like snap them or something. Yeah, and then the other one that I use quite a bit when I'm doing kind of like just personal work is the Spellcasting Oracle cards. This is by Flavia Kate Peters, Barbara Michael John Free, and artwork by Lisbeth Cheever Giesman, who also did, I think, the artwork for the well-known Mary deck. That's quite popular, by Megan Watterson. So yeah, this deck I use quite a bit. I just really like it. Again, it's just great as a oracle pull at the end of a reading, just to see an underlying theme. There are plenty of other decks that do this as well. So I'm not saying that you have to have this one, but these ones are just ones that I kind of like. This is more when it's personal, or if I'm doing a reading for someone and I just think I want to pull an oracle card. And especially there's certain decks that have a very, sometimes a deep and sometimes more themes that might make someone feel a bit too vulnerable. And if I'm not sure, I use sometimes more softer decks. And I think it's important to assess who we're working with, in the sense of not being abrasive. How can I put it? So yeah, I'm very careful with that. So yeah, that's why these two decks are sometimes really good for stuff like that. Okay, so moving on from there, let me just put these to the back. So a deck that isn't your usual style, that I'm hopefully using my usual style, but of course I did enjoy working with. Yeah, and I want to say actually that a deck that really I would not count as my usual style is definitely the Cozy Witch Tarot deck. Now, I do like the aesthetics and I like the themes, I like the drawings, but again, I would not count this as my usual style. And yeah, I did pick it up last year and decided to make it. I think I used it during my early autumn period, and I just loved using this deck. It was just so magical and so sweet and loving and kind. It was actually really what I needed at that time. So, one of the things that, I should have said in the intro, but 2024 for me has been a tough year when it comes to a lot of changes within my home life, in terms of my family of origin, on top of that, where I actually live, the relationship with the country on board, just so much. And then as some of you know, I also lost my fur baby at the beginning of July, and he'd been with me 17 years in my life. He passed away 5 days to the day when I brought him home 17 years before. And, I had to do summer, and then, for me, the autumn is my birthday, it's Halloween, then there's Christmas, and it's just I kind of had to prepare myself that I'm gonna do this time without him. Also last year, twice I went to India and back, and those are long journeys. So it's been a big year for me. It's been a big year in that sense of a lot of home shifts, and this was a really good deck, I think, in that period already, to just say to me that this deck has this, for me, a feeling of, look at that Ten of Swords, look at that beautiful card, the way they've done it. This deck has for me a really good feeling of, I would say, Queen of Cups. I'm trying to find the Queen of Cups in here. It has that really good feeling of, it is okay to do self-care. It is okay to light a candle for ourselves and take a moment. And yeah, we all do have this moment where it's a little bit scary at night and we're thinking about things. And this deck just really is very good at saying it's okay to have these feelings, and you know, and need that little bit of, you know, the ice cream at the end of the day kind of thing. There's something very gentle and loving about this deck, and I appreciate it for that. So yeah, it was beautiful to work with this deck. I really appreciate the diversity in this deck as well. And you know, akin with it, a deck I haven't actually used that much, but again, it is out of my comfort zone, is of course the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck by Amanda Lovelace. Both of them are by the same author, Amanda Lovelace, artwork by Janina Medeiros. I'm probably butchering that. Yeah, I haven't really used this deck that much, but I think I'm going to look forward to using it in 2025. Again, just beautiful artwork and beautiful themes. I'm savoring this actually. It's almost like I split them and decided not to use them together, so to get the opportunity to come back to these kind of themes of it's okay to love ourselves, it's okay to paint our own star, our own sun, you know, our own light in the sky. Just how beautiful is that? Or we can slay our fears, and a lot of self-love, a lot of self-acceptance about our body. I grew up in an era, as some of you know, 90s, being a teenager, it was not easy when it came to, I mean, it's still not easy when it comes to the body. Let's be very clear with that. But yeah, it was just, you know, today I'm so grateful for the self-acceptance around our bodies that we're getting now, finally. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to working with this deck actually in 2025. And that is the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck. So after that, let's go on to the next question, which is favorite deck pairing. This was something that blew me away, and I had not planned it, so get ready for it. For those of you who already follow this channel, you might, I mean, there's quite a few good pairings for this year, but this one I'm going to pick up for now, which of course is, it blew me away, was Tarot Vampyres by Ian Daniels. This deck is out of print, but I did love using it, and I loved it with its pairing. So let me show you a few pairings before we quickly move on. Just give me a moment. I will have to somehow artistically manage how I do this. Okay, right. So we have here this deck. Just so good. And then here is one of the pairings that I use, which is with the Talisman Oracle. I might not show you all the pairings because otherwise we'll be here all day. Also, just know that there is going to be a video coming up soon, which will help with showing pairings. So here's Willpower, and here is our Seven of Grails. Wow. So yeah, about choices, and then showing willpower and that Taurian energy. Or the next one being Learn the Truth and Queen of Scepters, which is the Queen of Wands in this deck. Look at that. So I loved pairing this deck. I really did. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and my ears are popping again. And so yeah, I really would say that this is one of the pairings that I really enjoyed. The other deck that I did pair it with is, of course, the Gothic Oracle by Anne Stokes. So let me just show you that very quickly. Oh, a lot of me balancing things here, so just give me a moment. Otherwise, I know I'm going to drop everything. So that's why, let me put this back in here so I can manage it. Yeah, that will fit through and that can close. Let me put that to the side for a second. And yeah, let me show you this with the Gothic Oracle. So again, here's Angel Rose, here's Lord of Scepters. Hopefully that picks up okay. Or another one could be these two, which is, oh, that bright shine, which is, here it says Trick or Treat, and here it is with the Seven of Skulls, which is the Seven of Pentacles. Isn't that interesting? Because that's all about seeds, and this is Trick or Treat. And yeah, I just think that this was a great pairing too. And then finally, I just realized this might be a bit too dark for these cards, is the other pairing that I quickly wanted to show you is when I paired this Tarot Vampyres with, let me put this away, with the Les Vampyres deck. And these two really sung together as well. There's something about them that really worked for me. So here's prey, which says stalked, invaded, watched, and here is the 9 of skulls. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting pairing. Here's transgression, flaws, contradictions, mistakes, some very, very dark cards in there. And here's 10 of skulls. So of course we have legacy, and here we have transgressions. So there's some really strong messages that can be done with these, with this array of decks. And this is all mass market. So I was just so good to find such a good blend of energies when I was well, I wasn't least expecting it, but it just shows that when we have a collection, we can go through our collection and find stuff, pull it together, and all of a sudden it really just sings, and we don't have to go out and buy a whole load of stuff, right? So yeah, because I had all those oracles, and then you know, I just had to put all of this together. Oh, so yeah. So that was with the Tower of Vampyres. Now, I don't know if you can find this deck. Maybe you could. You just have to look for it because it is out of print now. Before I forget, sorry, my ears are popping, is that Ian Daniels is bringing forth another deck. He had the Oracle of Enchantment Fairies or something like that. He's actually going to do a mass market Tarot of Enchantment of Fairies or something like that. And I think it's going to be with Llewellyn. So just so you know, that is coming forward. And I did have some thinking of why this might have gone out of print. I don't know. It's just speculation from me. I have absolutely no idea. I don't have any connection with the author at all. But I do think that sometimes an artist might take back the copyright on their work. So if he's done that therefore this has to go out of print. And then perhaps he's bringing into print this Tarot of Enchanted Fairies or something like that it's called, again with Llewellyn, that's 2025. So I really am looking forward to, and I believe that's going to be based on Arthurian myth. So I'm really looking forward to that, because for me, Ian Daniels, what I noticed when I was working with this deck is everybody thinks this is more of like a Kabbalah deck. To me, Ian Daniels created his own deck, which is what the Golden Dawn says as part of their kind of like teachings, that we actually end up creating our own deck at one point. So I think he's very true to the tarot tradition in that sense, that very old school Golden Dawn tradition. That's my perception, of course. I don't know this person's thinking, it's just my own perception. So yes, I'm looking forward to his new deck coming forward, because it will be his deck. You know, it's something he's put into creation and really thought about the messages and how he's blending together the energies of the keys. They're not strictly RWS, they're not strictly Thoth. They really are, I believe, his own blend and his own perception and sight. So anyway, I'm babbling on. I'll stop there. Deck with a great theme. So yeah, I really have to say that I haven't got to work with it yet, but it's like sitting on my shelf, and it's looking at me like, when are we going to work together? And I think it's going to be like coming into play like this year. It's the Tarot Gallimaufry? Gallimaufry? I don't know how to pronounce his name. This is one of the spec cards from it, which is Cosmic Seasoning. And then there's Mint Wave. These are part of an Oracle deck that are coming forward. I do know that, hopefully this Oracle deck is coming. I do know that Lisa Hunt has decided, Lisa Hunt, sorry, that's not her name. It's actually, the name has gone out of that. That's helpful. Lisa McLaughlin, hopefully I'm getting that right, has decided not to continue production of her tarot decks for various reasons. So if you go into her Etsy shop and you see something and you like it, this is the time to grab it. But this deck, and it's a bit like me and the B decks. You know, it's a whole love story that's waiting to unfold, or me and the Crow deck, or, you know, the Foraxa and decks like that. This is like, I got to take time with this deck. I want to give it that space. I want to give it that respect, because this is for me very much that dark fae. it is for me that dark wood energy, and I want to sit with this. I want to be in this and soak up the colors and the images and the shadows, the shapes, what's going on in there, what was her thinking when she created this key, what season am I in, what's the weather showing me, what's the fauna and the flora showing me. If I pair it with something, how do they play off each other? How do they give each other messages? There's so much to unwrap with this deck. I'm actually a bit like, once I start working with this, I feel like it's going to really overshadow anything that's around it. So I want to give it like, it's a bit like when I'm working with the Tarot of Vampyres, or working with the Foraxa, or any one of those decks that's deeply like connected with my own energy, is that when I work with these decks, I really want to think of how and what I'm pairing them with, so that when I do, I can really, like, how can I say, it's like building a wave, and I want to be able to work with the ocean, or climbing a mountain. I want to work with the land, so that I can get the most from that energy. I hope that makes sense. That's how I feel anyway. So yeah, so that's the Tarot Gallimaufry. I'm blabbing. We're at 20 minutes. Let me keep going. Let me get on with this. Deck that you're in love with. Now, the deck that I'm in love with, which unfortunately is packed somewhere, is the B Tarot. That's the one by all the names have gone from my head. The B Tarot, the Llewellyn B Tarot, the B Tarot. This is awful. Here it is. I have to Google it so that I could get the names right. Otherwise, Christopher Hughes. I was going to say Christoph Hughes. It's Christopher Hughes. And of course, Nadia Turner are the creators of that deck. I loved it, but I've put it away somewhere right now. So I had trouble finding it. But another deck actually that I realized that this year I loved working with, sorry, my ears are popping badly again, is Tarot in Wonderland, Barbara Moore, an artwork by Eugene Smith. Yeah, I loved working this deck, so I thought, actually, why not get it out and show it? Great guidebook. Really appreciated some of the messages I was getting from there. I really appreciated the artwork. I had a lot of fun with this deck. This is a deck that a couple of friends on TarotTube have worked with quite a bit. I know that Gigi Heisker has worked with this deck quite a lot. And so she says, yeah, I love it. You know, it's worth working with. And then, of course, also Carrie from Carrie's Mystical Musings. I've just seen this deck so much. And I had never bought it, never worked with it. Well, so yeah, I plunged into it, and I'm so glad I've added it to my collection. It's still available, mass market. If you're on the fence, go get it. I've also done a review. I tried to link my review to this video. Okay, so next question, I think we're near the end, is deck you wish that you existed or out of print deck. I think for now I'm going to really say that I want to get some of the Baba Studio decks. Mythical, I think it's called Mythical Creatures, one of them that I've missed out on. Fantastic Menagerie, both decks that I want to get, but Mythical Creatures is really more at the top of my list. I have seen it for sale, but right now I am also very, very stretched. I don't want to say very, very stretched, sounds a bit exaggerated, but I'm being very, very careful right now because I want to build towards some financial goals. And I just don't feel comfortable spending, let's say, 150 or something like that on a deck right now. I can't justify that right now. And also, I want to get the Baba Studio decks that's coming through, the Bohemian Cats Theatre deck. And already I know that's going to be a stretch. So yeah, let me just take this off there. Yeah. So that's why I think that's why I'm kind of like, I've got to be just, hopefully I'm making sense that if you've got a deck in your hands, which I have had, which is worth a lot of money, sometimes I feel a bit like too precious, and sometimes I'm thinking I don't want to make these kind of purchases because I get very scared using it, and then I think, what was the point of that? So I have some questions with myself about stuff like that. Let me put it that way. Which card sums up this year as a whole? That's a really good question. I think that just this year as a whole, just no, but yeah, a little bit of that definitely. When I heard this question, I read this question and I thought of it, I really thought of, let me find it. Where is it? Where is this question? Where is the answer to this question? My card of the year, I should also find that one. Yeah, so I have I found it? Yeah. Right, so what really sums up this year for me when I heard that question is this card, which is the Nine of Wands. This really does sum up. And interestingly, my moon is sitting in this area if it comes to the decans. I'm not sure about how I feel about that whole system, but you know, this is like how I feel. I feel like, is there anything more coming this way? And I was going to say actually that last year when I did this tag, the card that I had pulled, interestingly, was, and if I can find it, I have it here with me. Can I find it in time to show you? This is what happens. You see, this is what happens when I'm not prepared, and then you'll have to watch my face as I look for it. But I think I should be able to find it pretty quickly. Because, yeah, here it is. This was the card that I pulled for 2024 when I did this tag, which is the Eight of Cups. I kid you not, I had bought a deck from Tarot NL, completely different story. I'm off the tangent here. I bought it in 2023, that deck. It come in a bag when I bought the box version, but they sent me the bag version. I was pretty annoyed. I didn't look properly. I opened the bag in 2024, midway through last year. And that shop, it's a boutique. They always put something in there as like a gift, like a postcard or something like that. And they had put from the Thoth, the Eight of Cups in that deck as a present. Hopefully I'm making sense. Like, you know, a random card that they stick in there. It was the Eight of Cups. I'd opened that midway through 2024. And at the end of 2023, for 2024, this is the card that I pulled. I'm not joking. It was just so surreal that yeah, it was like, and then, you know, yeah, I've really had that moment. So what else can I say? So coming home to my collection. Yes, well, that was the answer to the next question. Tarot practice. Which card? I think I've missed a question. Oh yeah, deck mod, back or accessory. I'm a bit out of the place here, but always an accessory for me is my journal. These are the 3 journals that I filled last year. I filled all of these because I use one every 4 months. Next year it's going to be one for 3 months because I'm going to use up more space. Because I feel like doing that. I don't want to cramp it as much as I have done this year. So it's going to be a bit more spaced out for some days, not everything. I'll just show you a page of mine because it's really not that sexy. It really is just a bunch of writing. Really, it's just, yeah, I'm not much of a drawer, or I try to. Like the beginning of the month, I try to do something like this. That's about it. That's what you're going to get from me. Do I have one for October? I don't even know if I have one for October. I think I did do a doodle for October. Let me see if I can find it. These are not, this is by no means anything special. Oh, I didn't do, the problem was, right, was I'll just be really clear with you. By mid-year last year, losing my fur baby, I think I lost a little bit of that. Well, it's understandable, right? We lose that. We just lose that feeling sometimes because it's grief. And I think it showed in, I was mechanically doing things, but I wasn't quite there and I could feel it, you know? So I'm going to be a bit more forgiving with myself and say that's that, you know? But anyway, let's move on. So, The last thing was, yeah, so what's the tarot practice reflection? It's, coming home to my collection, as in really enjoying what I have. I really, after the first quarter of last year, because I spent a lot on 2023, in early 2024, I saw again my budget. I was just spending way too much. And at the end of the first quarter of 2024, I kind of like naturally went into a low buy. It wasn't really like overthinking it. It was more like just slow down and stop with all this buying. And it really kind of like stuck actually. I was very, yeah, and also fur baby was sick, just I had other priorities and all the traveling. So anyway, I just have to say that I decided to use more what I have, be grateful for that. And so, yeah, that's how I'm going to say it. So the last thing is pull a card for the new year or a deck you want to use next year. So I wasn't sure which deck to pull from, but I think I'm going to still stick to the Light Seers because that seems to be a tradition with me at the end of the year, that I use the Light Seers somehow at the end of the year. So I'm going to stick to my tradition. I pulled quite a few decks out. Oh, and what was another question was, completely missed this, I think, was a recent addition to my I think that was one of them, right? There's so many things that I missed out. Yeah, a recent addition to my collection is Forest Friends. And this is a little mini deck, and also a deck that I wish I'd used more, barely used. Did I answer that? I think I did answer that. But yeah, that is definitely the Jupiter Tarot. I wish I'd used this more. So this is definitely going to be something for using for next year. I think I'm all over the place by now in this whole video, but there we go. Okay, so let's choose a card to pick for next year. Oh my God, this video is all over the place. You're probably sort of thinking, does she have her head screwed on? Just let's just go with it. It's the end of, not just the end of the day, it's the end of the year. So let's just keep going. Okay, so card for 2025. I'm shuffling the Light Seers. It's in my hands here. Okay. What do we get? Okay, what do we get? Show me what wants to come out. Show me something that wants to come out. I got the Ace of Cups. And I'm kind of like a bit like this because I think this was the card of the year a few years ago. So this is just like, whoa. Okay, so I'm kind of like, I'm going to take this as like, this is it. This is like, and I've got a lot of thought now going like, this is making sense in many ways. The transits that I'm going to be experiencing this year with the planets, and everybody's going to go through a huge change because the planetary energies this year are just out of whack. 2025 coming, everything is shifting. So I'm going to take this as this is where I need to go. This is where I need to go, and this has given me a lot of food for thought. So yeah, I'm grateful actually. This is like something good to work with. And it's making me think, really? Like Ace of Cups? I've had a lot of aces showing up at the beginning of every year for a while now. So a bit of me is like, I've had the Ace of Swords. I'm pretty sure I had the Ace of Cups a few years ago. So this is quite interesting. So let's see how it goes. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you again, Chanel Days, for this wonderful tag. I will see you all soon and have a wonderful start to 2025. Wishing you lots of love, lots of luck. I'm not into resolutions. I just think the best we can do is be our true selves, find love for ourselves, find compassion for the world around us, right? That's the best we can do. And for me, I always try and remember that there's other people struggling too, right? So as long as I remember that I everybody's got their own battles going on, and just having that compassion, for me, it helps me lower my shoulders a bit more and be a little bit more in tune perhaps with that Ace of Cups. Thank you everybody for joining me, and I will see you all soon. Take care now.